Greetings. My name's Tim Johnson. This is Recovery, Strength, Hope and Courage. This is the fifth one of my amateur videos at the moment, still practicing obviously, so please bear with me. And this one is entitled, Why Am I an Addict? That's Why Am I an Addict? I've come inside for this one. Normally I'd be outside, but it's quite a serious one. I've got a bit of writing as well, so it's best I see it without the sun in my eyes, and so I can see it. Anyway, I hope it won't go on too long. It won't bore you, but I think it's a very important question that before you go into recovery, indeed into withdrawal recovery, and even whilst you're in addiction, that you need to answer this question really. One of my favourite films is the Godfather trilogy, and always will be. It's in it, I think it's the second one. Michael Corleone says something which I've sort of held close to my heart for many years now, and it's keep your friends close, but keep your enemies closer. And I look at addiction like that, basically. I look at addiction as my enemy. And it's really important. I think there's another old saying that says, know thine enemy. And, to help go into recovery, you need to really understand addiction. You need to understand what's causing you to do this. And really, over the years, I've asked myself the question, why am I an addict? Why, when I've had everything, and I have had everything, a fantastically beautiful wife who is kind, intelligent, loving, generous, loyal, hardworking, supportive, fantastic children. Both my daughters now went through education, level-headed, not only beautiful, although I'm a bit biased, but they went through education, qualified, degrees, and now they've both got excellent jobs in London. I'm so proud of them both. Great career I had in restaurants, hotels and catering and nightclubs. I ran a massive, biggest nightclub in the Midlands at one stage, big businesses, hotels, restaurants, together with my wife. This was as a couple, as a management couple. Cars that I wanted, house, lovely house, jewellery, money in my pocket, and yet still I bring them down, I destroy them, I wreck them, addiction, all my money, my jobs, my relationships, my friends, my family. Over the years, I've chipped away at them with my addiction, and so yeah, you may have well have been the same. You've experienced the same. If you've empathy with any of the experiences I have, then and you can learn along with me, then brilliant. Well, not brilliant, but you know what I mean. It's. I'm sure a lot of you have done and felt the same things as I have. I've had 30 years of this, of trying to ruin my life. So yeah, I want to know about it. I want to know why I'm doing it. I want to know what's caused my addiction. And I ask myself the following questions. Can you be born with addiction? Can you inherit addiction through your genes? Can having a terrible childhood and childhood experiences cause addiction, depression, illness? In later life, if I get ill or I have an injury or acute pain or through an operation, a botched operation or whatever, and I'm prescribed opiate or strong medication, can I become an addict in later life? And the answer to all these things is yes, 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 you can. You can, all of these things. The brain is a very complex thing, and it has chemicals in it which are responsible for. Before I go into this, actually, I just want to say that I'm not a doctor or a health professional. I'm not going to give you any medical advice. If you choose to take any advice I give you in this video, it's advice. It's stuff that's worked for me, and I pray and hope that it works for you. But I'm not trying to give medical advice. And the other thing is that I've researched everything very carefully in all this. Over a lot of years, I've spent 30 years with addicts, being with them as friends and spending time talking to them. Been 30 years an addict myself, and I've spent a lot of time researching. And any of the information I give you in here has been carefully researched in either books or the internet, and you can find it anywhere if you'd like to look for it. And it's reputable research and stuff that has been recognised by um, medical professionals. So that's just wanted to get out of the way. Back to the brain. Yeah, the brain is very complex, and there are chemicals that in it that are responsible for your mood, basically your sleep, your feeling of well-being, your body's natural painkillers, feelings of euphoria, of just being a normal human being, if you like, level-headed and calm and no anxiety. You know, all these chemicals are in your brain being produced naturally, and they are dopamine, serotonin, oxytocin, GABA, endorphins. Now, in some people, and this is fact, um, in some people it's fact, they are born producing less serotonin and dopamine and other chemicals than other people, so-called normal people, or normal amounts. And these people are provenly prone to depression, to addiction, to anxiety, restlessness. That feeling of, they say it's NA, I think it's RID, restless, irritable, and discontent, constantly feeling like this. You can also inherit this through your genes. I look back at my own childhood, and my real granddad shot himself in a hotel bedroom. My mother was an alcoholic and pillhead. Um, you know, and also I look back at my childhood, and there was a study done in America, a massive study which has been recognised by health professionals across the world. It's called the ACE study. Real good research and shocking results. And it's the Adverse Childhood Experiences Study. It took place in California, where 17,000 people of all age groups, all professional types, rich people, poor people, different ethnic types, right across the board, were all individually and confidentially tested. And the results were astounding, basically. In every case of either the following: sexual abuse, physical abuse, death of a parent, divorce of parents, violence in the household, abandonment in childhood, being put up for adoption, for instance, etc., etc., lack of love, lack of cuddles, lack of everything. In every case, this increased the risk exponentially of suffering from depression, addiction, and many other illnesses such as heart disease, cancer, arthritis, anxiety, violence in your own household. The list goes on and on. And shockingly, if you were unlucky enough to suffer from minimum of six of these in individual circumstances, then you were 4,600% more likely to suffer from, the addiction, all the rest of it. And then there are those poor people who have an operation later in life, or suffering from painful conditions. Maybe they've been born with less. Maybe they've not recognised the fact that they're producing less of these chemicals, or maybe they've suffered from depression or anxiety and all the rest of it. They have an operation. They're given these. It's botched. They're suffering from acute pain constantly, whatever the illness is. They're given strong medication, maybe opiate medication, and all of a sudden, bingo, they suddenly feel these feelings of calm, relaxed, being on top of the world. The anxiety goes, the depression goes, you get well-being, happiness, feeling of love, being wrapped in a blanket, if you like. Who wouldn't want that? What normal person doesn't want to have those feelings? So the answer is, for all these things, yes, 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 and yes. They can, lead to addiction. So born with, inherit, doesn't matter, childhood experiences, later life, these things are going to cause addiction. Then the elephant in the room, there are those people who Many people who still don't see addiction as an illness or a disease. They see it as a choice. And I can hear the voices, many voices saying, if they really wanted to stop, they'd stop. They choose to do it. They just want to hide from life. They want to hide away from, they don't want to work, they're lazy, they don't want to face life. If they wanted to stop, they could stop anytime. Well, in America, I know you've got a word for this, and it's bullshit. And in Liverpool, we have a word for it as well, bollocks. And I'm sorry for swearing there, but it makes me really angry because it is a disease, it is an illness. Do you think you or I would really choose to destroy our families, the love, to destroy our lives, our careers, our jobs, to become homeless, destitute, to lose all our money, our self respect, our pride in ourselves, our consciences, everything? Would we choose to lose that if it wasn't an illness or a disease? Would we choose to be like this and destroy everything around us that we built up and love dearly? Of course we wouldn't. Of course we wouldn't. It's not a choice, it is an illness. Now, those chemicals in your brain, the problem is that if you start drinking alcohol, which does exactly the same thing, let me stress, as opiates, it floods the brain. Opiates, alcohol, drugs of any sort, they create this euphoria, and the reason they create this euphoria is if you're suffering from a lack of all these things in your brain, you suddenly take these things into your body. Opiates in particular, just use opiates as an example, they create up to 10 times as much dopamine being flooded into your brain as a normal experience or a normal reward, if you like. 10 times as much flooding into your brain. And the problem is then is that the brain sort of rewires itself, and the opiates, and talk about alcohol and other drugs as well, cocaine, alcohol, it doesn't matter what the drug is, it does the same thing. But opiates has a very a strong effect on the receptors, and they sit on the receptors. Now, if I can liken your brain to like the volume on a stereo, if you like, and switches it up to really loud volume. So imagine your brain is being flooded with massive amounts of all these chemicals, endorphins and dopamine, serotonin, when you take these substances. Well, the brain then turns the volume down, it stops making the substances naturally. And the opiates that you take, the synthetic stuff, the chemicals, the alcohol, whatever you take, sits on the receptors in your brain and rewires the pathways in your brain. So your brain stops working naturally, which is why when you come off any of these substances, and opiates in particular, the withdrawal is massive pain, and you can't describe the agony you're in, the depression, the anxiety, the restlessness, the insomnia, the vomiting, sickness, diarrhea, the pain in your limbs. That's because all these chemicals are not being produced in your brain. You suddenly stop taking the chemicals that you're taking in, the massive amounts, and the rest of the chemicals have stopped being produced. Then obviously your body's got no natural painkillers. It's not producing any of the happiness, well-being chemicals, anything. You just go into this funk of despair, and that's what withdrawal is. And that can carry on a long time. People that tell you withdrawal just lasts a couple of weeks, you've got to be prepared to fight hard into recovery, because your brain takes a long time to rewire itself and a long time to start producing these chemicals properly again, naturally again.